Hello, I'm Heather.
And I'm Ryan.
Welcome to the podcast. It's game night, it's sibling rivalry, it's a walk down memory lane, but most importantly, it's politics free.
Guaranteed.
Welcome to round 10 of Pando. It's our final round of Pando. Here's how it works. We have a set of cards. On each one is written 3 personal questions. For example, one card asks, which of my siblings is most like me? Does my lawn usually have weeds? And when I get dressed, do I put on my pants or my socks first? First, I'll ask Ryan 3 questions pertaining to me, and he'll have to answer each one correctly, earning 1 point per correct answer, and a bonus point for getting all 3 correct. Then we'll switch it around, and it'll be my turn. Whoever scores the most points wins the ever-coveted Gloating Rights Trophy.
Until we play again.
Always with the dramatic. For the record, Ryan, the sibling I am most like is
not,
you.
Oh, I was going to say, is not you.
And for the education of the listeners, in case you didn't know, Ryan is my only sibling. We'll continue. Let's see. My lawn is full of weeds. Tons of weeds. Well mowed, but weedy.
Mm-hmm.
And, it just depends what socks and pants I'm wearing. What about you? Where do you fall on these?
What socks? So you're saying that you will put your socks on before your pants? Depending on the pants?
Yes, and the socks.
What kind of psychopath are you?
Well, let's say I'm going to wear some really high winter socks.
Uh-huh.
If I'm wearing pants that are tight around my ankles, I don't want to put my pants on, try to squeeze my fat calf through the pant leg to try to pull my sock up. See what I'm saying?
I'll accept it.
Thank you.
For the record, which of my siblings is most like me? Not you. I guess you. Yes, my lawn has weeds. I mean, I like to garden, but I'm not weeding my lawn. That's just crazy talk.
It is.
When I get dressed, do I put my pants on or my socks first? Well, typically, I put my pants on first, but I have in the past tried to switch things up. And I would put a sock on, and then my pants, and then another pair of socks. Not a pair of socks, but then the other sock. Just to mix it up a little bit, make my morning a little bit more exciting.
Whatever spices up your day.
And tomorrow I will probably be doing it just for giggles, because I'm a psychopath.
Hey, you said it. Again, the game we're playing is called Pando. That's Pando. It was created by Pando and is available at playpando.com. Link in the show notes. They are not a sponsor. All right, the current running score. Ryan 51, Heather 52.
What?
This is the final round.
What?
I'm ahead by 1 point.
I thought we were still tied. When did that happen?
No, You awarded me 2 half points in the last round.
God damn it. I am regretting my decision right now.
You should be.
Heather, are you ready for me to get a bonus point right off the bat? Let's do it.
Let's do it. Ryan, have I ever totaled a car?
Yes.
Great. Let's just move right on. Let's tell the story. I was driving somewhere unfamiliar in Portland, in the Portland area. And I took this turn that I didn't realize was a very sharp turn. It kind of doubled back on itself. It went all the way around. And I skid off the road. And luckily there was a railing there. So the car just got stuck in the railing, the hood. And I got out and I was standing there and saw all this traffic going all the way around. Like nobody was stopping for me.
Of course.
So I was like, well, and this was the days before cell phones and things like that. So I kind of was like, well, I have no way of getting help. I can't walk anywhere because of all the traffic. So I guess I'll just try to drive the car. We'll see how that goes. So I backed it out and I was like, hey, still drives. I can't really steer very well. The wheel's kind of stuck, but I can make this work. And I had been on my way to visit mom and dad. It was like an hour drive away. So I thought, you know what? I'm like 10 or 15 minutes from home. I'll just double back home and not try to drive an hour in this. And I got in this stop and go traffic, and just rear-ended this little old lady in a massive pickup truck. And it smashed my little 83 Honda Accord. It just like accordioned the hood of this car. I barely managed to get off the road, and she pulled off the road, and I got out of the car, and she got out of her truck. And she says, where's the other car? And I just started sobbing. I was like, what other car? Because this whole thing was my fault.
Yeah.
This was my fault completely. I rear-ended her. She's like, the car that hit you. And I was like flooded with relief. I was like, oh no, it's just all me. Did it all by myself. She was like, that really sent me flying. Your tiny little car sent me flying. By the way, I think she had a small dent or maybe a small scratch on the back of her pickup truck. Mm-hmm. My car had almost no impact on her pickup truck. We exchanged information. I was sobbing the whole time. Mm-hmm. And then I was just kind of stranded there after she left. I was like, well, I can't drive this car. And I don't really know where I am. So it's like no cell phone, no GPS. There was a payphone there. And there was this really sketchy homeless looking dude holding a sign that was like, garage sale this way. Right? So I went up to him and I was like, no, he came up to me and he was like, do you want some change to make a phone call? Because I guess he had seen everything go down. I was like, yes, that would be lovely. So this really homeless looking guy gave me his change. And I called mom and dad to come pick me up. But I always thought that was so nice of him because he really did not look like, if I'm remembering this now as it's coming back to me as I'm telling the story, he actually was telling me that he had just gotten this job holding this garage sale sign. They were paying him a little bit of money for it.
Oh, wow.
And he was really happy because it was like his first job in a while. And I took all of his change. Listen, let's just go on. I shouldn't have done that, but I didn't have any other way of contacting anyone. So thank you, that guy, wherever you are. You really did me a solid there. Ryan, do I work too much?
So, hear me out, okay?
Okay.
You have a full-time job as a mother. On top of this and whatever else you do, yes, you do.
Okay, well, this is a matter of opinion. Because I don't really feel like I work too much. Do you know what I mean?
I understand what you mean, Heather. This did not go the way that I wanted it to go. Because my original answer was going to be no, but then I took into account that you stay at home and take care of 2 young children. And then you were also doing like another podcast by yourself, and then another podcast by yourself.
Yeah, I had a few
like
going.
4 podcasts going. I
realized it was all too much. Mm-hmm. See, there I felt like I was doing too much.
Right.
And so I cut out and I just said, let's just do this one podcast, which was a huge sigh of relief. And ever since then, I've felt quite comfortable with the amount of what I have to do.
Well, that's good.
So 0 points for you. Ryan, who is my email provider?
Gmail.
That's got to be the easiest question. Great job. 1 point for you. What are my first 3 questions?
The milk is 2 days beyond the expiration date. Do I drink it or throw it out?
I think if you happen to notice that, you might just make sure it smells okay first. But I think you would drink that, yes.
Yes, that is correct. Can I jump into a conversation with a group of strangers easily?
Ryan, I believe that you can. Even if you might feel a bit uncomfortable or try to tell me that you can't. I believe that you can jump into a conversation with a group of strangers easily, yes.
I don't feel like I can, because as I have discussed before on this podcast, not too long ago, that if I'm around a group of new people, I am very uncomfortable. And it's very hard.
But you jump into a conversation with them.
But I don't really jump in. I let them do the talking. And then I kind of find, like, stuff that I can talk about. I don't do it very easily. I'm not very good at it. I'm not shitting you, Heather. Group of strangers, it's very awkward for me.
So you're telling me I don't get a point for this?
That is what I'm telling you.
Highway robbery.
Heather,
Mm-hmm.
have I ever lived alone?
Yes, you have, Ryan.
That is correct.
I have never lived alone. As I was writing down that question for you, I realized, oh my God, I've literally never lived alone. I've always lived with somebody else, one or more people, my entire life.
Well, when I lived alone, Rebecca and I were dating, and she was still going to trade school. So she was gone all week. I stayed by myself, obviously, in a little studio apartment, and it was so boring. I actually ended up getting a part-time job to kill time because I was that bored.
There you go. Ryan.
Yes?
Can I roll my tongue?
Yes, you can.
Correct.
Oh, thank God. Because I for sure thought you were going to tell me no.
It makes for great podcast.
Rolling your tongue. Fuck. I hope you can do this because...
I thought it meant roll your tongue like when you go like that. Yeah, you roll your tongue. That's not what it means?
Yeah, that's what that means. I knew you could do that.
I can also do that if that makes you feel better.
It does. I should get 2 points for that one.
No, you don't get 2 points for that one. I should give you half a point for that one, for doubting yourself.
No.
Have I ever TP'd a house?
No. Do not tell me you have. Okay.
I should probably let you know that you were right. I didn't bother acknowledging you because you were so right that it didn't need acknowledgement. And then I was like, oh, people probably want to know if I've ever done that. Ryan, do I often lose my temper?
Not as much as you used to.
I'll take that answer, but that's true. Yeah, I rarely lose my temper now. I used to lose it a lot when I was younger.
I haven't looked at the other questions. I really hope they're hard.
I pretty much feel like you're going to win this game. Please continue.
Oh, you're not going to get the first one. Okay, you ready for this, Heather?
Yes, I'm ready.
Where do I generally buy my underwear?
Ryan.
Yes.
I think there are a lot of options here.
There are so many options, Heather.
Can I ask for a hint question? Like, for example, do you buy them online or in a store? Can I at least have that hint?
Yep, I buy them in a store.
Okay.
And it's one brand that I really like, and I've only ever found them at one place.
Is it a store that is only on the West Coast or like in your area?
No.
That I've never heard of?
Nope.
Okay.
You've heard of this place.
Okay.
And we're not turning this into 20 questions. That's all the hints you get. Zip in my mouth.
I feel like it can't be Walmart because that would be my immediate first guess. So if I'm never going to guess it, I can't guess something like Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
Could it be something odd, like an oddball store like Safeway? Could it be Fred Meyer?
Is that your guess?
Could it be Plaid Pantry?
No, incorrect. It's Costco.
Damn it.
Yes. Heather?
Mm-hmm.
Do I tend to get lost when I'm driving?
I don't think you do, no.
That is correct. And Heather?
Uh-huh.
Have I ever been part of a book club?
Nope.
I have.
No, you have fucking not been in a book club.
Yes, I have.
Go die. That is the biggest lie I've ever heard. That is the biggest lie anyone's ever told on this
podcast. I haven't been part of a book club. I haven't. You're right.
I was like, the only possible way he's ever been in a book club is he had a massive crush on some chick in a book club. This is not a thing. Well, you won, I think. Let's count that up. So
I think we're tied, Heather. I think we're tied. I think my bonus point tied us up.
You scored 6, bringing your total to 57.
Mm-hmm.
I scored 3.
What?
Oh, no.
No. You scored 4.
I scored 4 because you lied about the book club.
Yes.
I scored 4, which brings my total
to 56.
To 56.
I win again!
It just hurts my heart so much that I cannot win a single... That's 3. I'm 0-3.
You're 0-3, Heather. You're 0-3. Guess what, Heather? Guess who sucks? You suck.
You do.
Heather sucks. Heather sucks.
Okay,
Heather
listen.
Sucks.
Just
I got
stop
the
it.
voting rights. Just let me have it. You suck. Heather sucks.
Now that display of despicability is over,
I win.
it's over. We're
I
going
won
to
the
go
whole
on with the
thing.
episode. Okay, we're going to go on with the episode. And here's the thing, right? I did not really find anything of much interest to research based on the cards this week, so we're just going to do some stories from Reddit. We're going to skip right to that. And here is the question. Pranksters of Reddit, what prank you pulled went horribly wrong and why? And I based that on the question, have you ever TP'd a house? Because that's a prank. From King Tony H. April Fool's Day a few years back, I wanted to prank my roommate by putting plastic wrap over the toilet. I was the first one to pee the next morning, forgot about the prank. From Boss Share 47. By the way, this particular thread was really dark. I had to look for lighter-hearted stuff, but it might be kind of edgy on some of them. So here we go. High school dance. We told one of our friends that Angela was hot and he should ask her to dance. Angela, I'm saying it like that because the name is in quotes, was not hot or skinny. They danced, dated, fell in love, got married, had 4 kids, got divorced. Haven't seen or heard from him in years. TLDR, our prank created a single mom of 4.
Oh, fuck.
All right, from Almost Deaf 33. I don't prank people that often, so mine is a little tame. But when I was in 7th grade, I pulled a chair out from under this girl I liked at the time. You know, where you're like, here, have a seat. And then they go to sit down, totally expecting a chair to be there, but then you pull it away and it's totally not there. So the person drops right to the ground? I thought it'd be funny. But she dropped pretty hard and ended up fracturing her tailbone.
Jeez.
She never liked me back.
Understandable.
From Clever Meals. My prank is something along the lines of this. I'm a postgraduate student, and since there are so few of us, about 11 in total, we get a shared office. One of my friends was in early one morning, and she got in just before I did. I came in and saw her bag on the table, so I assumed she was in the mini kitchen getting coffee. I heard her coming down the corridor, so I went over and stood by the door to the office and then jumped out at her as she was about to enter the room. Little did I know that she was walking down the hall with another postgraduate student who is just a really nervous guy. He screamed and flailed, knocking her mug of iced coffee all over both of them, the carpet and the door. There's still a huge coffee stain in the carpet. From Chucky 305. Auto repair shop. Target was a drunk bastard that would prank everyone else and always show up hungover. So after the 3rd water bucket over the door, each one hitting me, I decided it needed to end. After close, the target changes and is gone. I took his boots, pulled out the inner sole, then put a nail through the shoe into the wooden floor, then glued the inner sole back down with a heavy industrial glue. Both shoes were in front of a chair. He came in the next day, changed, sat down, slipped his feet into the shoes, and in one swift motion got up to walk away. He fell straight forward and knocked himself out.
He deserved it.
He did. Worked great as that was the last prank, and every mechanic considered me the god of pranks. But the EMTs didn't find it as funny. No one ratted me out, even though everyone knew.
So that reminds me of a prank that I pulled once.
Oh, please.
So there was this little office that we used to eat lunch in every day. And every day, there was this little bucket that I would sit on, and this guy would come in, and he would just kick my bucket across the room, so I'd have to go across the room and grab the bucket, set it back down, and do my thing. Well, he did this for weeks. And I was like, you know what? I've had enough of this. So I ended up cutting the bottom of the bucket out, and I filled it up with giant nuts and bolts.
Mm-hmm.
So I set it down, and I put the lid back on. Next day, he comes in, and he kicks this bucket, and he's like, fuck! And then he goes to pull the bucket up to throw it across the room, and the nuts and bolts came spilling out. And, of course, he throws the bucket across the room still. And I just thought it was so hilarious, as did everybody else. And then I had to clean up the nuts and bolts.
Love that prank. From Squirtus Mayfield. Last April Fool's Day, me and my buddy went to Target and picked up a bunch of murder stuff. Rope, duct tape, 2 hatchets, a shovel, full body tarp suits, regular tarp, bleach, SOS pads, and a few other cleaning fluids. Then we put our actor faces on. I put all the stuff on the conveyor belt while my friend stood behind me, arms crossed, stone cold stare, and completely silent the entire time. Meanwhile, I acted very sheepish and afraid. I actually made my body shake nervously for extra effect. As the cashier is ringing up the items, I watch the puzzle pieces fit together in her head, and a look of terror wash over her face. After everything was rang up, it took her a good minute to say anything. We just sat there staring at each other. Finally, she asks, "Will that be all?" And with a crack in my voice, I say, "Yes, ma'am." Then quickly look down, grabbing for my wallet. I pretended I forgot it in the car. We weren't paying for all that shit. And turned to ask my friend if I could go get it. He sighed angrily and raised his hand like he was about to hit me, which I wasn't expecting, so I actually did flinch a bit, which was perfect. Then he got real close to me and whispered gibberish in my ear. I began to fake panic and started saying, "I'm sorry," over and over again. Then we walked out. We later found out the cashier had an anxiety attack and had to go home after we left.
That's not funny.
No. Apparently nobody could convince her it was just an April Fool's joke. She said it seemed too real.
I was expecting cop cars to be like showing up right as they're walking out.
That would have gone really wrong. TLDR, convinced a cashier lady I was about to be murdered and buried by my best friend. And that was it. That's all we got on the stories.
I have one prank that got me fired once.
Oh, do tell.
Same company as before, but there was this guy who was the prankster of the company, right? So he used to do a lot of pranks to a lot of different people. And I happened to be one of those people that got pranked this day. And there's this red dye that they use for testing welds. Mm-hmm. And it penetrates into the metal and they can test for cracks and stuff. Anyway, he put this into my welding gloves. I put my welding gloves on and I went and did my welds for the day. And at break time, I pulled my gloves off and my hands were dyed completely red. So I was like, I'm going to get this guy back. So that night I went home. I went to my in-laws and I had my brother-in-law who was really into making little explosives and smoke bombs and stuff. And I asked him to make me a smoke bomb. So put the smoke bomb in an old film case with a little wick or whatever you call it, a fuse in it. So I was like, cool. So lunch rolls around and we all go out and eat lunch. And as we're coming back, I kind of waited and we were working in these confined spaces and we all had fresh air, right? Fresh supplied air directly to our faces. So he was working in this confined space with like 4 or 5 other guys and I wait for them to all go inside. And I lit this fuse and I tossed it in there and I walked past and then I walked down to my end of the bay. And I start suiting up to get into my confined space and I turn around and the whole north end of the bay was like covered in this thick white smoke. I mean, like it was filled. It was bad. Like, you could not see into it, right? And like, I could barely make these guys all jumping out of their tank, like in a panic and freaking out. And I was like, well, I'm going to get in my tank and get to work so no one suspects me for anything. So I jump in there, and this guy that I was working with had seen all of it, and he was like, what did you do? And I was like, I set off a smoke bomb, dude. Shut the fuck up. So we get in there, and we get to work, and about 5 minutes later, I hear, Ryan McLeod, get your ass out here right now. So I was like, crap. So I get out of the tank, and there's my foreman, the shop foreman, the superintendent, who was the one yelling at me, and then one other person I remember who, I think it was the weld foreman. And he goes, can you explain this? And he throws like this melted remains of film case in front of me, right? And I look at it, and I look at him, and I said, yeah, it's a smoke bomb. And he goes, were you the one that set it off? And I said, yes, it was me. And he said, pack your shit up and go home. I don't ever want to see your face again. And I was like, okay. I was like, can I leave my tools here for the meantime? I can't really get them home in my car. And he's like, yeah, whatever. Just get out of here. Just leave. And I was like, okay. So I get in the car, and I drive away, and I was like, crap, like, what am I going to do? Like, when I get home, I got to tell Rebecca that I got fired over a smoke bomb from a really good job. And I was sitting there freaking out, like, oh God, what am I going to tell her? What am I going to tell her? And so I end up calling the foreman, and I was like, hey, dude, like, did you hear about what happened? He's like, yeah, I heard about it. And I was like, man, I really messed up. Like, I don't know what to do. I really need this job. Like, what I did was super dumb. Like, is there any way you can talk to James, quote unquote, about it? Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, I'll see what I can do. So as I'm going home, I get a call. James calls, and he's like, hey, Ryan, how you doing? I'm like, I'm doing okay. And he's like, so we're going to turn your firing into a suspension. He's like, so why don't you be back here on Tuesday? Because it was Friday, I think. Or it was Thursday when this happened. So it was like a 3-day suspension. So it's like, and we were working overtime at the time, right? So he's like, yeah, why don't you come in early? And I was like, you still want me to come in for overtime? He's like, yeah, that's fine. I was like, okay. He's like, but come by my office. We need to have a chat first.
Well, what was the guy's reaction that you pranked? Did you ever find out?
Oh, he was so pissed off. Like, well, every single guy in there was pissed off, but he was especially pissed off because I put them in danger. But I didn't. I didn't put them in danger because I knew that, A, they were going to be able to get out of there just fine, and I knew they all had fresh air on, otherwise I wouldn't have done it. And I made sure they were all going in with their fresh air. And anyway, but yeah, I mean, this guy put like, we have flux type of welding, but it's like loose flux. Like, he would put that stuff in people's sandwiches. So, like, God, when they go to take a bite out of their sandwich, they got, like, a big old mouthful of thick, gritty sand, basically.
Oh.
One of his pranks I got blamed for. We have this big plasma arc table. So, it just, like, you put sheet metal down on this thing, and then it submerges it into water, and then this plasma cutter comes down and cuts out all the shapes and stuff out of the metal. Uh-huh. Well, the water has to cycle, so they have this little bubbler on the end that just, cycles the water through the whole thing so it doesn't get stagnant. And he dumped a whole thing of Dawn dish detergent into this. And I have never seen so many freaking bubbles in my life. And it was like filling up this whole end of the bay. And I was like, this is awesome. So, like, of course, I go running into the bubbles like, yay, bubbles! And everybody saw me playing in the bubbles, so I got blamed for the prank when I had nothing to do with it.
Oh, man. The thing is, a prank once in a while is all right, but somebody that constantly does it, like, that just gets so annoying.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Ryan, thank you. That was highly entertaining.
You're welcome.
Send us your stories. Send us, you know what we want. You can message me on Instagram at the Politics Free Podcast. Email me, thepoliticsfreepodcast@outlook.com. And now you can visit the subreddit, Politics-free podcast. All one word, no punctuation. Yes, we have a Reddit. I don't know, I figure that might be... Well, first of all, I should have a Reddit because I'm always stealing Reddit stories for this podcast. But second of all, I just thought, I don't know, maybe our audience might prefer Reddit over Instagram. We'll see. If nobody engages on Reddit, I probably won't keep it around for long, if I'm being honest, because someone was already mean to me on Reddit in the first day of me being back on Reddit. So
yeah,
I'm a little...
It's Reddit. What happened?
Okay, here's what happened. I get on Reddit. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to worry about karma like I did last time, because you get like super into trying to get karma, right? And by the way, if anybody's not familiar with Reddit, karma is basically a running total of likes. That's basically what it is. It's if you put up a post and somebody likes it 25 times, and then you comment and people like it, give you 10 upvotes, it's called. It's basically a like. Then you have 35 total likes, and that's 35 karma. So I find this completely ridiculous, and I really wish they didn't have it. But this is what they do. They give you this running total. So I get into there, and I was like, I'm just going to go to subreddits, which is like groups. It's like basically the same as a Facebook group. It's called a subreddit. So you go in, and I wanted to post some things in these subreddits I wanted to be a part of. And it was like, yeah, sorry, you don't have any karma, so you can't post. I was like, what? They're like, yeah, you might be a bot, so no posting for you. Oh, BT dub, we don't tell you how much karma you need. So I just went on a commenting spree to try to boost my karma so I could post.
Yeah.
And like this one guy replies to one of my comments. He's like, you have posted a lot for your first 9 hours. Or you have commented a lot for your first 9 hours on Reddit. And I was like, why are you shaming me for it? And then I came back 5 minutes later. I was like, no, delete. I'm not even going to engage. Block. I don't care. I get it. You're not supposed to want karma. But look at the position I have been put in. I'm not allowed to post any. And am I supposed to come there and not participate?
Were you commenting all on the same thread, like on the same post?
All kinds of different places and different subreddits. I commented in a couple of Ask Reddit. Random thoughts.
That's super weird that he was like scoping out your profile.
Yeah, like why would he go try to look at all my comments?
Did you post something that was somewhat controversial?
No. Unless you count my agreement with how crappy root beer is, which a lot of people downvoted. That was not appreciated at all.
Oh, hell.
Root beer sucks.
That's like Sophie's favorite drink.
Yeah, a lot of people like root beer. I just don't understand. It tastes like crap on a stick to me.
You have to know your audience. There's some times where I'm like, I'm just not going to post my thoughts on this because I know I'll get downvoted.
Yeah. Look, I didn't really care that I got downvoted for not liking root beer. I really didn't.
I forget what I posted. I posted something that went viral on Reddit, or at least in the subreddit, and I got put into the popular club automatically. Oh
wow!
Included into the popular club.
I should not be seething with envy right now, but I really am. Anyway, we have a subreddit, Politics Free Podcast. You can go ahead and join that subreddit, and I will be posting up like questions, polls, and things. You can give us your stories there. So if that is something you prefer over Instagram or emailing or visiting the website and leaving a voice message, thepoliticsfreepodcast.com, then go ahead and use Reddit. Ryan, let's get to the question of the week.
Oh, there's a question of the week. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
What is it?
What's the best compliment you ever received?
Listen, I am so bad with compliments. Anybody gives me a compliment and I automatically like shut down. Like I don't know how to handle it.
But okay, isn't there a compliment that just has stood out and you're like, I really appreciated that?
I mean, one that I got recently was from one of the foremen at the company that I work at. And basically, he was telling me how much he appreciated my work and appreciated my work ethic and said that I was really going to go places with the company, and it was very heartfelt.
Aww.
And I was like, thank you. Thank you, sir.
My best compliment here. This is the only compliment that stands out in my mind that I think of from time to time. I appreciated it. I wrote these song lyrics one time for a Christmas song, and I read them to a friend of mine. And then I said, "Oh, they're not genius or anything." And she literally said, "I disagree." And I was like, best compliment ever. I wrote genius lyrics. These are the best. But I did. I really appreciate it. It went to my heart. It did. And I, also to my head a little, not going to lie, really did.
Yeah. So I know this is totally going to negate the compliment that I just got, but it was from a total stranger. I was on a metro bus, right? And it was packed. I managed to get a seat, and I'm sitting next to this younger girl. She's probably about the same age as I was at the time. And we're sitting there, and there's this guy, and he's like holding on like this, and his armpit is like inches from my face. And it smelled so freaking bad. And I just sat there, and there was nothing I could do about it. There was no reason to get mad. The guy couldn't help it, and I just sat there, and she was sitting there staring at me. And she goes, "Aren't you going to say something to him?" And I was like, "No, there's no point. There's nothing he can do." And she goes, "Wow, you are so humble." And I was like, "Thank you."
Yeah, compliments are great. Compliment someone today. And also, don't forget to share the Politics Free podcast with someone. And we will catch you at the next episode. Until
we play again.